This video will show you the first thing you need to test if you have a dryer that won't run or won't heat. Safety first, so disconnect power before servicing any electrical appliance. And do remember the internal edges on the machines are sharp, so if you start taking one apart, be very careful not to get cut, especially like on this one where I'm taking the cover plate off of the terminal block area. Okay, I've already removed the terminal block area, and this is what the terminal block looks like on this Maytag dryer. And all the terminal blocks are pretty much the same on dryers. You have three terminals. The one on the left is L1, the one on the far right is L3. They're both hot. Middle one is L2, which is neutral. Okay, so I'm getting ready to start doing the testing here. And this is the only live test that I've ever made a video on. So these wires are live when you're doing this. It's plugged in, so you need to be careful not to touch anything from metal to metal or anything that's going to cause anything to short, including, of course, yourself. Don't want to get hurt. But you need to test for power to make sure you're getting proper power to the terminal block before you start tearing the machine apart looking for other issues. The first test I'm doing here is L1 to L2. And for that hot side, and I'm using a voltage tester here, also called a wiggy. You can see the little white bar in that center jumping all the way up to the very top on the AC on the right hand side, which says, of course, 120. And it worked fine on both of those tests. Now I'm doing the L1 to L3 test. I'm getting 240, which is the little shaded area right below. You see the little white bar jumping up there. You can also use a volt-ohm-meter to do the testing with. When you do that, make sure your leads are plugged into the correct ports, not on the ohm meter, but actually on voltage. Use the V with the little wavy line above it. That's for alternating current. And set it to the range higher than your expected highest voltage. Our expected highest voltage is around 240. Therefore, I set it to the 600 range because I only have a 200 range and a 600 range on this meter. So it's set to 600. Now, I've connected my ground to the middle one for neutral, and I'm just touching the other one to the live wire. And I'm getting 118 on both sides. So I've got 118 hot on one side, 118 hot on the other side. And then the final test is to make sure that going across the two, I get somewhere close to 240. So I'll connect to the ground on L1 and connect to the other terminal, or just touch it to L3. And here in a second, I'll tilt that enough where you can see the reading, 237 volts. So as long as I'm getting between 220 to 240 combined, or 110 to 120 individually, it's good. So this one is good. If you didn't have correct voltage, you need to check your circuit breaker, make sure it's not half tripped, and check your power plug.